Welcome back to the Beyond the Buckets. Excited to have coach of Folsom Lake College, Mollet. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, this is your second year as a head coach, and you have a basketball family. For people that don't know, your mom actually used to be playing in the leagues here in San Jose. Your dad is an avid hoops fan and coach, and your brother has played professionally as well as in college, and still continues to put out content. So tell me what it's like to be in your family, and what some of those dinner table conversations are like about basketball.
Yeah, I'm so lucky I love my family, and they've definitely supported me and let me, have the basketball career, both playing and coaching that I have. So I feel super fortunate. We are a basketball family, but kind of in a unusual way. Neither of my parents played in middle school, high school, college, really? None of that. My mom was an athlete, but she played baseball with the boys and did swimming and stuff. And my dad actually didn't play, but he was just a big fan. And so I just grew up around it. It really stemmed from my dad. I remember my favorite baby picture that I have is me like in a onesie, like just learning how to walk, and I'm dunking on this Larry Bird basketball hoop in the living room.
Oh wow!
So he just always surrounded me with an opportunity to play if I wanted to, and I think probably one of his favorite memories of me as a kid was when I was probably like first or second grade. He was out shooting on the driveway, and I walked up and I was like, "Dad, can you teach me how to do that?" And ever since then, it just kind of started. And I played, and then he coached me a bunch. He coached me in middle school. He coached my brother. It was cool to have my brother playing. And then my mom joined the adult league in Campbell when she was like in her 40s, which is awesome. She was like, "I'll play too. Why not?" So we've it's kind of been something that has been a passion for all of us. And so I feel really fortunate for that.
Who was a better player, you or your brother?
Oh man. Probably, I hate to admit it, probably my brother.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really get to see my career through as far as I wanted to. I got hurt. I don't know if that's an excuse or not, but I know 100% I was a better ball handler than him. He got me. He could shoot better than me. I think I could pass a little better than him. So, but it was cool, watching him grow and have so many more opportunities. Like he got to keep playing after college, and I was just such a proud big sister to watch everything that he could do. Being able to play with him growing up is, hopefully he would say the same thing about me, is it made me a better basketball player. I always had a buddy to go to play with, and we used to do this. We used to just think of all different ways we could compete against each other, But one of my favorite memories with him as kids is we would go get the, when like newspapers used to come when it was raining, and they were in that big like plastic bag. It was like long and skinny. We'd get that, and we'd stuff it with a bunch of like grocery store plastic bags and duct tape it. Mm-hmm. And we'd play one-on-one on the driveway. And whoever was on defense got that thing, and we would just beat the crap out of each other with it. And then as soon as a shot would go up, you'd throw that thing, and then you'd go get the ball, and then the other person would grab that and just start beating on each other. So I didn't realize at the time I was training toughness and ball protection. I just had fun beating at my brother.
Yeah, playing through the contact, all that. I love that.
Yeah.
I used to coach your brother when he was in high school, freshman and sophomore year, and he was definitely a really great player. But I have to say, you get the nod because you're a McDonald's All-American nominee, and that just doesn't come if you're not very good. And I think you still hold the assist award for most assists in a career at Del Mar High School, and you had a really good high school career. And your college career had some injuries, but I think you were probably the better player, and I think he would say that too, even though he did play professionally. And one of his best friends is Jeremy Lin. I think did he dunk on Steph Curry in the Pro-Am or something like that?
He picked him. I was there. He picked him. That was kind of cool. Picked him down the other way and dunked.
Okay, yeah. So that's So
Aaron, he had his cool moments for sure.
Aaron Mollet is a great young man and a great basketball player. So moving on just a little bit, you've coached at every collegiate level almost, except for for Division III and NAIA. You've been at the Division I level as a director of operations. You've also been at the Division II level for, I believe, 8 years as an assistant coach, and you were also an assistant coach at JC before you took on your head coaching job. But tell me the difference between Division I and Division II as far as what you know as a coach and what you've seen.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think as a player, when I was in high school, I thought that they were so different. When I was getting recruited, I was lucky enough to play at Sac State. I played Division I, and if a division, this was stupid looking back, but when a Division II school was calling about me, I'd be like, I'm not playing Division II, I'm playing Division I. Like, I thought it was so different. And in hindsight, they're really not that different. I mean, the biggest differences that I've learned is the amount of resources that there are. And obviously Division I, you can get full scholarships. You got a couple more pairs of shoes, and you get to stay at a nicer hotel. And the biggest difference I've noticed for the athletes is Division I just has bigger, stronger, faster players. And, you know, I'll never forget one of my first years, we had a scrimmage this was when I was at Chico, we had a scrimmage at Reno, and they're a Division I program. It was a good opportunity for us to go up and play. And it was really cool what their coaching staff did before the scrimmage. They put us through workouts. So they took the guards on one side, the posts over here, and we mixed in with their athletes, and the girls got to work out with them. And I remember the girls, they had us going through cones and finishing or something like that. And the girls were looking at me like, how are they losing the ball on this? Like, I just, you know, they hung with those guys, if not better, skill-wise. It's just that they were way bigger and stronger and faster. And so that's what's been cool for me coaching Division II is you get the same skill, the same commitment, all that stuff, compared to a lower Division I. Obviously, the higher you go Division I, those guys are insane. But you know, comparing a Sac State to a Chico State, there's really not that big of a difference.
Right. No, I've seen that, you know, in my time coaching, you know, both boys and girls. The only thing that's really different, as you touched on, is going to be the size and athleticism. And those are two things that a lot of people can't control. But what you can control is your skill level. And, you know, if you can dribble, pass, and shoot and defend at a high level, you can play. And for most people, a lot of times they don't want to go Division II because they think it's a lower level, but that is probably the better level for them to be able to play at and play at a consistent high rate, which everybody wants to do. Who wants to go to a Division I and sit on the bench or not play until their senior year? And every single year they're trying to out-recruit you because the coach's job is at stake. They have to feed their families. The assistants have to feed their families. So they're taught to get bigger and better players every single year. And if you're already a tweener, they're going to out-recruit you. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I didn't realize is Division IIs beat Division I's all the time in preseason scrimmages. We were lucky enough to do that a handful of times at Chico. So just something that not everybody knows about. So it's kind of.
I remember one of those years. It was you guys were at Santa Clara and came in and watched, and you guys are killing them on your box stuff. You know, shuffle cut, and then you know, single doubles everywhere, and you guys were just getting every shot you wanted. You guys were winning for the most of the game. I don't know if you ended up pulling it out, but I know it was close. And I know their staff was extremely hot with the way that they were playing, because that is the stigma. Yeah, you guys are supposed to lose if you're Division II, but a lot of the times you got that chip on your shoulder, and I just thought that was an excellent game. And case in point, you guys have beaten a lot of Division I teams when you were at Chico. And you guys were, I believe, up to number 9 in the country a few years back when you were there.
Yeah, I was really lucky when I first came to Chico State. I just showed up and they already had a great thing going. And yeah, we were number 9 in the country that year. We won a conference championship. And I didn't know how much I didn't know before I got there. And I learned so much. I learned from Brian Fogel, who's the head coach. He's the best. But I also learned a lot from the players. I mean, my job, my first year was to just shut up and not mess anything up, because they were so good. So I learned a lot.
Let me ask you about recruiting. What were you looking for when you were coaching at the Division II level, and what are you looking for now in players?
I think my recruiting philosophies changed a little bit. To be honest, when I first got to Chico, I didn't know how to recruit. I tried as an assistant coach to try to figure out what my head coach wanted, and I would try to match, his vision for athletes. And I think I was over analyzing things, like, oh, she could kind of shoot, but she's a little fast, but she can't do this. And I was just over analyzing. Honestly, where my recruiting philosophy changed was with one of your players, Kiana Davis, right? Yeah. She came and played with us at Chico State, and we played 3-on-3, and somebody was out, so I had to play that day. And I loved playing with her. She was so fun to play with. She was so good. And afterwards, I was like so hyped, like, oh, we got to get this girl. And, we had a disagreement. My head coach didn't see it the same way. And she ended up going to Stanny and beat our butt like every year. But it clicked for me is now when I recruit, I don't look at everything. I just am like, who would I want to play with? If I was playing 3-on-3 and I'm in this gym of, 100 girls, who would I pick on my team right now to go play with me? And when I started to look at things like that, it really simplified it, because I didn't look at all the silly stuff. I just was like, she can play, I want her on my team. Or like, she's got a good attitude, I want her. So I've definitely changed in the way I recruit a little bit. And it's the same thing at the junior college. I want people that love basketball, that are good kids to be around, that want to get better. And I mean, you got to be a good athlete, and I hope you can dribble and shoot a little bit, but I like teaching basketball, so I can teach you how to be a better basketball player. You just got to come ready to learn. That's what I look for the most.
For sure. And I think you touched on it. They have to love the game of basketball. And that is something that Kiana definitely has and had when, she's going to be a senior now. But I loved coaching her as well. And, I would tell she played point guard for us at 5'9", but she wasn't the fastest, but most people couldn't take the ball from her either. And, she wouldn't score 20, but she's still giving you 14 and 8 rebounds every single time she steps out. She did that in high school for basically 4 years. And then she's been doing that and been an all-conference player and in that league for the last 3 years. But she doesn't pass the eye test, and it just goes to show you that if you have love for the game, you work hard, and you're a good teammate, it can end up working out for you. So
yep, that's what I've definitely found is the kids that don't pass the eye test but can still do it are the ones you want to recruit. We had a point guard this year on our team who was so good, and she was almost a triple double all the time. Like she was so well rounded. She filled up the stat sheet. And I had a hard time getting her recruited because she didn't pass the eye test in a lot of different ways. And people would be like, we need an athletic point guard. I'm like, we need someone fast. I'm like, this girl runs a 5:51 mile. I don't know who's faster than that. So no, it's interesting. She's going to Menlo. She found a great spot, and they are so excited to have her.
Menlo's good.
I'm excited for her. It's going to be a good opportunity. But it's the ones that don't pass the eye test but still get it done. Those are the kids that you want.
For sure.
And it took me a while to figure that out.
What is it like being a Division II coach? So many people have aspirations to coach at college, but they don't know the grind that actually takes place when you are coaching in college at really any level. But and you could probably speak to the JC level as well. But what is the grind like as a Division II coach as well as a JC coach?
It's definitely work, but it doesn't feel like work. I mean, I love it. So there's never a day where I'm like, oh man, I gotta go to practice. What I feel really lucky that I took the route that I did, being at Division II and at the junior college, because you get exposed to so many things. Just talking about my time at Chico, it was just me and Brian. And we had, a grad assistant here and there that would help in practice, but for the most part, it was me and him. So I had to break down film. I had to book flights. I had to do every scouting report. I had, I did everything. And so when I would go out recruiting and sitting next to my Division I friends, and I'm like, oh yeah, what do you do? And they're like, oh, well, I get 3 scouting reports a year, and I do meals. And I was like, what? Like, right. So I felt so lucky that our staff was so small, and I got really, really prepared because I had to do everything. So yeah, I enjoy that of it, especially if you want to be a head coach. I would really highly recommend starting at a lower level, because that's where you learn how to be a good teacher. You learn the ins and outs of how to run a program. I think if I did the opposite and I was at a Division I program and I had, I was one of 8 staff members, if I went to go start my own program, I wouldn't know where to begin. So I feel really lucky that I had that start that I did.
Right. And we talk about this a lot of the times on this podcast, is not skipping steps and being ready for that next opportunity. And so I know a lot of people asked you to come coach for them, whether that be at the high school level or whether that be, at other colleges, Division I, and you always kind of turned it down because you knew that I need to set myself up. And by you doing all those things really allowed you to step into the role that you're at now. And really have success immediately as you got there. So tell me a little bit about, stepping into the head coach role, moving over 18 inches like everybody talks about in our field, and bringing a new program into junior college basketball, because I think they were relatively young before you started, or were you the first one?
I was the second. So they had a coach. They only had the program 1 year before me, and then I came in. So it was brand new to our college. So yeah, I mean, it was, I was definitely ready. I felt ready for a while. And because of that experience that I had at Chico State, I felt very, very, very prepared. And because I loved it there, I was very patient. So I wasn't the type of person that was like, oh, let me take this little step and then this little step and then that. I waited because I was happy. I loved what I was doing. I was continuing to learn, and I waited for the right opportunity, and then I went for it. I've loved it at Folsom. I've been so happy here. It's so cool to be able to be the one in charge and get to make the decisions. You always, it's different, because as an assistant coach, you're sitting there like, I wouldn't have ran that play. She should be in. But when you have to make the calls to do that, it's a lot harder. For sure. And when all the problems come to you, it's a lot to deal with. So I've definitely learned a lot my first couple years. I've also learned that coaching at a junior college is way harder than coaching Division II, by a mile. You have.
In what ways?
I look back at my time at Chico and I was like, what was I doing with my time? Like, I had it so easy. For one, you get less skilled players. So, the best players are going to the 4-year initially. So you have less skilled players, which means you have to be that much better of a teacher. So you really need to know the fundamentals. You need to know how to explain things clearly, what's important to teach. So that part's hard. You don't get scholarships. So everyone there, you have to be a great motivator. Like I have to convince people to come play for me without giving them any money. And I have to convince them to come to practice every day without anything on the line. So you have to be a really good motivator. And then you don't have any upperclassmen. So you have to teach how to be good communicators, how to be leaders. You have to teach people how to work hard, because a lot of times they haven't had that experience yet. And then they leave in 2 years. So as soon as they start to figure it out, they're gone and they go somewhere else. And so you're constantly rebuilding the culture. You're constantly rebuilding the program. And so I love it because it's so challenging. And then on top of it, you don't have a full-time assistant coach and you teach 4 classes. So it's like, I look at it and sometimes I'm like, how am I getting up every morning? I'm so exhausted.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I love the teaching part of it, which I kind of always knew I would like teaching, but I didn't know that I would like it as much as I do. I love being in a classroom with students that aren't basketball players, and being around those guys is awesome too. So I feel really lucky. And like I said, I don't feel like it's work, because it is so fun. And so, I'm super fortunate.
Wow. Well, you could tell you love what you're doing with the energy and the passion that you have. You could just hear it in your voice. And one of the things you talked about is motivation. And I was watching Last Chance U, and they have it on Laney College,
Hmm.
based on the last season that they had. And a lot of these kids, they come from rural upbringings. They're on their last chance to basically make it to the 4-year level to play college
Okay.
football. It's on Netflix. It's pretty good. But
Cool.
the coach said, there's two ways that you're going to be motivated, whether that be internally or
Hmm.
externally. And so he put together this thing, and I'm going to steal it from him.
Yeah.
The carrot and the mule. So if
Okay.
you've ever seen, the carrot dangling out in front of the mule,
Hmm.
and if you're internally motivated, you're just going to keep going after that carrot. That carrot is that scholarship that the kids want to earn, right?
Okay.
I'm going to go after it because I'm motivated. Or the other way is, you get behind the mule and you smack it. And
Yeah.
that's the coach. That
Yeah.
you want people that are internally motivated. And sometimes when you have to, get behind them and push them towards that carrot, that is when the coach comes in. But we'd rather have people like that are internally motivated, that go after that carrot on their own, rather than the other way around,
Mhm.
which can be like pulling teeth or things like that. And like you said, you have to motivate them a lot of the times to do those things. So I think that's a great analogy, and I'm definitely going to steal that from the
Yeah, I
coach.
like that. I like that.
um, Tell me a little bit about your career. You had a really good high school career. Got to play at Sac State after high school, and you had some injuries and things like that. Tell me about battling through those injuries when you clearly could have had you did have a good career either way, but how was it managing those injuries once you got to college?
Yeah, I was lucky, probably like a lot of athletes who get to go play at the 4-year level, that, in high school I got to play all the time, and, I never came out of the game. And so I loved that part of it. Um, my college experience wasn't the best, unfortunately. It was, my team wasn't very good. And then I was hurt. And so it just was kind of this combination of not being a really great experience, but and in the moment, I was miserable a lot of the time. But looking back, I learned so much from it. One of the things I learned, when I first got there as a freshman, I'm in here like, oh, I'm the best player. This is great. I'm gonna play 40 minutes a game. And I wasn't a good defender. I had all these other reasons as to why, I'd get 2 minutes one night, 30 minutes the next, 3 minutes the next, and up and down. And I remember thinking like, this is what it feels like to not play. Like, this sucks. And I didn't think of it when I was in high school about my teammates that sat at the end of the bench and barely ever got in. I never once put myself in those shoes.
Right.
And so for me to have that experience makes me a better coach, because now I really make an effort to make sure everyone feels valued and all their teammates understand that everybody's valued. And so that was a huge lesson I learned. And then the other lesson I learned was just being hurt. I was never hurt in high school, and it's the same kind of thing. Like, being hurt stinks, and it's no fun to not be able to play. And so I'm really, I try to do a really good job when, especially if someone tears an ACL or anything where they're out for a while, of just making sure they feel included with the team, they're supported. Being hurt, you kind of lose your identity as an athlete for a while. And so just kind of being mindful of that, I think, makes me a better coach also. So I definitely took some things away from my college experience. Now looking back, I'm grateful for the experience that I did have. I would have loved to win more games and play a lot more. But I think if I didn't have that experience that I did, I wouldn't have been as good of a coach as I am today.
Right. No, it shows. And, all those experiences that you have, whether they be negative in the moment, they turn to positives if you have that right perspective. And you obviously have a great perspective on it. Everybody is important, but everybody's not going to play the 40 minutes per game. They're not going to be able, it's not equal opportunity as far as people shooting the basketball. Like, the kids that can make shots at a high rate are going to shoot more in the games. It's just the way it is. But the good thing that what I really take from you is that you care about everybody individually, even though everybody's not going to have not the same success on the court, but they can use those experiences to help them in their life and get through some of the hard times that they have.
Yep. No, 100%. 100%.
People always ask me, do you want to go back and coach boys? And I tell them no.
Yeah.
I don't have any want to do that at this point in time. I think it's important. I just had a daughter a few months back, and
Congratulations.
thank you. All of the I think women need, positive people in their lives and people that believe in them. Tell me about furthering the women's game, and how can we all do that as coaches?
Oh man. That's a hard one. I think first of all, I grew up when it was like women just started getting opportunities to play professionally. So when I was before the WNBA happened, the ABL, there was a team in San Jose. I was like the ball girl at all the games, and so um, I
Yeah,
remember.
Jennifer Azzi.
Yeah, yeah.
What was
Oh,
the team name?
the Lasers, San
Yeah,
Jose
the
Lasers.
Lasers. Yeah,
Yep.
they were good.
No, so I remember like I just always played basketball for fun, and then I remember having the feeling of being like, wait, I can do this and like as in my job, and I was like, I want to do that, and so um, yeah, so I think I got to really see opportunities for women grow in my lifetime, and I know before me there was huge strides that have happened. I was just talking to my dad the other day about how it was when he was in high school, and he was like, oh yeah, the girls got to play. Like there was girls sports. That's what they called it, girls sports. And it wasn't competitive. They just got to run around outside, but they were hyped. Like they were so happy. So I know we've come a long way, and I'm grateful for all those people that came before me. I really, truly am. But I do think that there's more to go. I think the thing that we need to do the most is it's not about like, I mean, it's a little, about making sure women have, the salary discrepancies and all that. Like women are never going to make as much as NBA players. We're just not. I think NBA players make way too much. Like that's the problem. We're never going to catch them. So
Sure.
fighting for that's unrealistic. I think, how many shoes we get, what nice hotels we stay at. Like that's great, but that's not where the growth needs to happen. I think the growth needs to happen is just providing young girls opportunities to play, having good coaches that are good role models that know what they're talking about, coach them. I think that's what's going to grow the game. It's the actual game. It's not all the outside stuff that needs to be grown. That's all just the fluffy stuff that doesn't matter as much, And so I think we just have to keep coaching girls, coach them hard, and give them opportunities to play.
Yeah, I get asked often, do you coach the girls different? And I say no. The only thing that's different is, you're more mindful of what you say. When I was coaching Aaron, I wasn't very mindful, and he could probably tell you some things that I used to say, but I'm just more mindful about what I say and how I say it. And I think it's made me a better coach coaching girls, because I have to be much better at communicating and, teaching the why, where it was, when I used to coach guys, you can kind of challenge them, you can kind of get at them a little bit more. Girls, you can get at them, but not in that way. You're not going to challenge a womanhood. You can challenge a guy's manhood a lot of the times, but if they understand why, they'll be willing to do what you want them to do, and things like that. And then the second part is, you mentioned it, in the last 25 years, that's when the women's game has gotten more opportunities, and the women's game is still relatively infant as far as the duration. The men's game has gone on for much longer, and women, are now starting to play more and more. I think club sports also has something to do with, girls playing basketball. One being club volleyball and basketball season are in the same seasons, right? And so a lot of the taller girls opt to play volleyball because it's less contact, or, or whatever the case may be. Same thing, girls that play soccer. Girls that play soccer can't play basketball. And that's another thing that draws out the girls from playing. If you think about boys sports, football, basketball, and baseball, they're all three in different seasons in high school. Right. And so club volleyball and girls basketball is in the same season, and the same season as soccer. So there's just less a less amount of girls that can participate
Yeah.
based on that. So I think those three things are really what hinder the girls' game. But great people like you, myself, and so many others that are trying to further the game and not treating the girls different, but treating them equal.
Yep, I like that. Yeah, my favorite, or one of my things I'm super fortunate for and grateful for is when I was in high school, I played on an AAU team, and we had a guys team, and we would have practice with the guys. Like we would branch off and have our own little, we would have 4-hour practices, and we'd have an hour with our team, but the rest of it was with the boys. We played with the boys the whole time. And so it made me have to know how to be better at basketball because they're bigger, faster, stronger. But it also taught them. They were chewed out so fast. So I think I wish there was more intermixing of boys and girls, especially in the younger ages. I think people should play together. I think it's so silly that we have a different size basketball than the boys. That just doesn't make any sense.
That's a great comment.
Yeah, it's why? And so I think the more you can mix people in and play together, you see so many now NBA players supporting the women's game. That's what's going to help the game grow, is showing that, our women's game is just as important.
Yeah, I think two things. One, whenever I have boys that are open gyms, they're shocked at how good the girls are.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. And number two, some of the best runs that I've had in my adult playing career is playing with other girls that are skilled. We used to have these runs at Santa Clara University when J.R. Payne was the head coach, but all her assistants were young. So Chandrika and all these girls that just got done playing. Shelby and all of her friends, it was a guys and girls run. We used the guys ball. The girls actually preferred using the guys ball because it was heavier. And it was so much better. It was just because they know how to play. They're strong, they're physical. When we're playing ones, women are really good at basketball. And the one thing that I can't stand, I always say, when we're watching a game or something like that, and I'm with my guys and they don't really understand women's basketball that much. They say, "Oh, you think we could beat them?" I'm like, no. Especially not a WNBA team. That's a fact. Not even a Division I college team. If we had 5 of my guys, and we don't hoop like that anymore at all.
That's funny.
We might be able to get with some elite high school teams, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You get to the Division II and even JC, no, we're not going to beat them. And I wish people would know a little bit more about that.
No, my favorite would be I used to go play at Campbell Park all the time, and you get some if you play with guys that know who you are, it's cool. But then you get the guys if I just showed up one day and didn't know anybody, I'd get the "Don't worry, I'll play easy on you," and I'd be like, "Good luck, go ahead," know.
And then you bust that ass too. You grew up in a very diverse environment in San Jose, West San Jose, California, and there's so much going on with social injustice and things like that. What is your perspective on everything that's kind of been going on during the pandemic, and just with the NBA just restarted, WNBA just restarted? They're using their voice and platforms to speak on a bunch of different social inequality things. What is your perspective on what's going on in the landscape?
Oh man. I think I was really lucky. I loved growing up how I grew up. So that I had, every mix of friends you could ever imagine. In a way though, it kind of set me up to, for failure a little bit, because I didn't realize that racism was a thing, because it wasn't where I had friends of every different race. And so I didn't realize until I got to college that this is a problem. So I almost had the reverse experience of not knowing it was a big deal. And I do think that there's lots of problems. I think it's the system that we're in, and there's always the sad part is there's always going to be people that are disadvantaged. That's just how humans work, right? There's always going to be people that are disadvantaged, but I think we just need to do a better job of creating systems in our society that support those people and educating people to be better people and treat people with more respect. I think it's good that the NBA and WNBA are talking about it. I think that's important. I think I personally don't know that, like, the being on a team and using that place to have your own personal opinion. I don't know that I necessarily fully agree with it. It's funny though, because I agree with what they're fighting for. I just think it should be done in a team manner. That's just my own personal opinion. So to me, it would make more sense in my head if it was all of a team that had the same, and I think there's a couple teams that are doing that. But I think it's important, and I think we need to keep talking about it. But I think more than talking about it, there needs to be real work by smarter people than me and you, that are actually making changes in the way we do things in our society.
Right. And I think it starts small in everybody's individual communities. You're up in Sacramento area, and obviously I'm here in San Jose, but that is the most important piece of it all. Just doing small things in your communities, and then it's going to spread. We're not going to be able to, and like you mentioned, Bay Area is really a bubble because it's not like other places. Now, as a Black man growing up, did I receive a lot of injustices? Yeah, but most of my white friends wouldn't even know what some of those things were because they were just blind to it. They didn't see color. We were friends, and that was that, unless there was a situation that transpired that showed that other side. And then when they were showed that other side, it was like, oh wow, this kind of is a thing. But they never really looked at it, kind of similar to what you're talking about. So yeah, it's just it's interesting times. I do think people should say stuff. I like that the NBA is doing their thing. I do think that the team should be united. I liked how the women came out because their first game was first. I like what they did, and they just all said, we're going to go in the back while the national anthem kind of goes on. And it never was about the national anthem or people that serve this country. It was simply about the injustices that take place for a segment of people that reside in the United States. And if they do it like that peacefully, a lot of times it gets misconstrued about what the message actually is. And it's ironic when you look back 4 years ago, Colin Kaepernick and the other people that were maligned for all of this, for kneeling peacefully. The crazy thing is now a certain few people stand, and now they're getting maligned for the same exact thing, but in the opposite way. You see, like, people just can't win. But at the end of the day, I think love is going to conquer all. And if everybody comes with a loving spirit and challenge, and has those challenging conversations, I think, we will see the progress.
Yeah, no, you said it best. It's, there's so many, it's like you try to do one thing good and then people hate on you for that. And then you change the other way and then you get hated on. And that's the opposite of what we're trying to do. Like, we're trying to spread love and understanding and compassion for people. And so I think if we just have to all work on being good people, and that's what it all comes down to.
Right. That cancel culture is real. So I got a roundtable question for you. You have a dinner party. There's 5 other guests, including yourself, in the basketball space. Who are going to be your 5 individuals that you have come to your dinner party? It's got to be in the basketball world. I will give you my female panel because I want to have 10. I want to have 5 women. I want to be equal, but you could just have 5 total.
Okay, I'm gonna go Pat Summitt. I'm gonna go, oh man, Gino Auriemma, because it'd be fun to have those 2 together.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I'm gonna go Steve Kerr. And I'm going to bring Brian Fogel from Chico. Him and Steve Kerr grew up together, so they're buddies. So that's going to be a good mix to see them together. Oh, man, my last one. Shoot, I don't even know. probably somebody from like way back, like I want one of the first women's players, like that I don't even know of, like way back in the day, and bring her just to be able to talk about how it is now.
Wow, I like that list. My list would be, I'll go all women. So Diana Taurasi, I've been around her a couple of times. She's the coolest person I've ever met.
Okay.
That would be number one. I'm gonna go with Cheryl Miller.
Okay.
I think she is the GOAT of, if you score 100 points,
Yeah.
That's pretty darn good. Doris Burke, one of my
Okay.
favorite announcers. She is the absolute best. I just love hearing her call a game.
That's cool.
She's my favorite man or woman.
Okay.
I'm going to go with one of the best players to come out of UConn, Rebecca Lobo. She's also a terrific announcer and analyst for ESPN. And then I'm going to say the last one, that's going to be tough, but I probably have to go. Did I say Pat Summitt yet?
No.
I'm going to have to go Pat Summitt and round the group out, and we'll separate Tennessee and UConn from across the table. But that would be my 5 dinner. And I guess if I was going on the guys' side, number one would be Hubie Brown. I think the way he sees the game and talks the game, I would just love to have him there. I would have Michael Jordan.
I was going to go with
obviously. I think I got to have Kobe there.
Okay.
I've got to have Magic Johnson there. And then the 5th, I would put Bill Russell in that category because he dealt with social injustice. He's in that famous image of all those prominent athletes, I believe back in the 50s or 60s. So I would have him kind of round out the table of 5. So who's your top 5 men?
Oh gosh. On the guys' side, I loved the Jazz growing up. My brother loved the Bulls. I loved the Jazz, which always did me wrong because we lost the Bulls every year. But I would get John Stockton and Karl Malone.
There you go. They'll pass the wine back and forth to each other, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. Oh man, I mean, it would be Michael Jordan. You got to have him in there. And then I would want some older guys too. Like I love Larry Bird and Magic Johnson together. Like that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. That'd be a good group.
That'd be a great group. Good deal.
Like who's gonna have good conversation with each other? For
sure, you definitely need that that good conversation, and you need somebody funny too. I don't know who the funny person would be in those groups. Although I heard Gino's pretty funny. That would probably be with Gino and Pat. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah.
I would pay for that dinner for sure. Well, good deal. Hey, I appreciate you coming on. You were awesome. I hope people get a lot of good information from your story and just, what it takes to be a successful coach. It took 10 years before you got your first head coaching opportunity. You've been in the game since a child, as we discussed. But is there anything else that you want to throw out there also where everybody can follow you and follow your team and all their success?
No, I mean, just thanks for having me. It's been really cool to see people who are innovative like yourself, creating things during the quarantine. I've been on so many different Zoom sessions with coaches, and this is, I believe it started, maybe you were doing it before.
No, I start as soon as we got shut down, I was like, I got to do something. So we started doing it.
No, it's so cool to see, there's it's like a flower growing in the cracks of a sidewalk kind of a thing, like good things are coming out of this. And so I appreciate you for having me. Hopefully I said something that somebody could take away as a little nugget. And then I'm so bad. My team has a Instagram, follow us. I don't even know what it's called. Look up Folsom Lake Women's Basketball.
I think it's Folsom Lake WBB, maybe.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll follow you guys.
There you go. But yeah, follow us on there. It's actually, I try to post a lot of culture stuff, so you can see, what we're about. And anyone who's listening, if they want to pick my brain about anything, I'd be happy to share. So.
Are you active on Twitter or your own personal IG at all?
Not really.
Okay. Well, you got to get on that. You have so much good things to share.
I know. I need to step it up. I really do.
You get a few hours of sleep, right? So
yeah, right. Yeah. I'm too busy teaching kinesiology, grading papers.
I hear you. Well, Allie, I appreciate you coming on the show. It was a pleasure to just to reconnect and have a good conversation.
Same. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Buckets podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and share the show with your friends. And until next time, take care.